Welcome everybody to the America's Coaching Supervision Network meeting. As I was saying, Lily is on holidays today. I was on holiday last month, so I missed last month meeting. And we have some news. We are going to have the Coaching Supervision Conference in person next year. So after many years of moving this, doing it virtually, we're going to have the two versions. So for people who cannot travel, you can still participate virtually, but not together, because when we meet in person, we want to do something very interactive. And we are going to do it at Royal Road University in Victoria, Canada, which is a beautiful place where Lily lives. And so you may want to consider the possibility to put that in your calendar for next year. It's going to be April 8 and 9 at the university. So they're opening the doors for us to use their facilities to make everything simpler. So if you want to put it in your calendars, April 8 and 9, and it's going to be very inexpensive. So we are looking for something that is very affordable so people don't have to worry about that expense. And then we will have another date where we're going to do like a virtual conference, but it's going to be one day. And the idea that they are aligned to these activities in some way. We need to figure out how we're going to be doing that. Linda?
Damian, is it April or May? I thought I saw May somewhere, and I'm looking at 8 and 9, and it's in the middle of the week in April.
Okay, thank you for asking. Let me look at the calendar. Oh, I am dangerous with
It's
dates.
May. I wrote it down.
I
It's
thought
eight.
that's what I read.
Yes,
Yeah.
8 and 9 of May is what Lily said last time.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not in my calendar. It should be.
May-
Okay.
May.
Yeah,
Great.
this is what she
Thank you.
said last time. This is what it is. So put it in your calendars, May 8 and 9.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for Linda telling me, reminded me that you usually do it in April, but something else is in April next year. That's the reason we're going to do it in May. Um, and now let's introduce Reggie, who has this is I know this is the second or third time, Reggie, that you are presenting for the American Coaching Supervision Network. Your second time?
Um, Second time on this topic. I was honored to present at our last conference.
Great.
So maybe the third time. I don't know. Depends on how you count.
Yeah, we can make that count. So thank you for coming back. And remember that we are always looking with Lily for presenters for our sessions. So if there is a topic that you would like to facilitate, you don't need to be an expert on the topic because our goal here is to have conversations and share our thoughts and reflect together and work together. So you don't need to necessarily be an expert on a topic. You can just facilitate that. Let us know because we're always looking for facilitators. So if you would like to facilitate a conversation on a topic, please let us know. I think that the schedule is full for this year. So if you receive our newsletter, you will see that there are all of our activities till the end of the year are already designed and planned. But for next year, we're starting to look for proposals now. So if there is any topic you would like to introduce or present, let us know, Lily or me. And Reggie, thanks again for coming back to talk about the second part on silence. And many people know you, but for people who do not know you, what would you like people to know about you?
I don't know
Other
if
than
it's
you're a great
many.
guy.
Thank you. I don't know if it's many, but I would say it's a few, a very select few. But I consider myself a new supervisor. For those who don't know or aren't familiar, I went through Damien's program. I think it's 2021. So, um, side note, through ICF, um, I have an approved program entitled Coaching Supervision, the Missing Piece, because for me, it was the missing piece once I found out about it. I couldn't stop talking about it, which is another one of the reasons why I'm here. Um, I also consider myself a fairly new coach, just a little over 10 years. So there's a lot that can be experienced in that period of time, and there's so much more to experience. So I'm always honored to be with all of you because this is a community that is very dear and near to me. I think as far as sharing things about myself, um, we did this, Lily, Sonny, and I think just a couple of weeks or so ago. And it struck me that as we introduce ourselves, there are things that take place in our life that are typically front and center, is what captures our attention when we choose what we want to share. So, one of the things I mentioned is I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm also a son. And I didn't even think about it at the time, but the reason why I mentioned that is because since November of last year, my parents have moved in with me. So while they don't need full-time care, as we do as we get older, they're slowing down a little bit. So hanging out with me is something I wanted to make sure happened. So that has created a completely different dynamic in my life, one for which I'm grateful. And it just really made me present to all the things that have an impact on our life and how they show up in different places. So to transition, one of the things that shows up for me in many places is silence, and that's one of the things that I wanted for us to have some time to talk about today. And it's certainly less about a presentation, more about a conversation. So just to facilitate the conversation, let me change my view so I can see folks better. I have a few slides to share, so I'm going to do that now. This certainly will not be slide heavy, just more along the lines of having something to reference as we're having our conversation. So if you can see my slides, and I'm going to need to back up to the front, so I apologize for that. Can everyone see my slides? And now I can't see you, so
We can
change
see
that
it.
view. Okay, great. So today, if you aren't aware, we're here to talk about silent supervision, the mystery of the unspoken. And if you were a part of the conversation last year, which actually was back in November, I just wanted to do a quick recap of what we discussed, just kind of bring you up to speed and also some context as far as the conversation. So there are four questions that we want to explore. One is, what is silence? What meaning is made in the silence? What can be created in the silence? And finally, who are we being in the silence, whether from the context of supervision, whether we're the supervisor or supervisee. And so since I'm a word nerd, I'm always interested in what words mean and how they traverse through time in different meanings. I went to Oxford Languages to look up the definition of silence, and it's simply the complete absence of sound. And so in the complete absence of sound, again, in the context of supervision, one of the things I thought about was what is present in the absence. And not that I was surprised, but it was certainly a pleasant experience with the richness of the conversation just in that question of what is present in the absence of that silence. But again, a recap. So the next question we talked about was what meaning is made in the silence. And even though there are countless types of silence, there were three that we focused on. The first is awkward silence. And for some of us, it can be a place of either anxiety or we're not quite sure. And again, this is either supervisor or supervisee, or perhaps even coaching for that matter. And in that silence, we're just trying to think about like what should I say, or should I say anything, or what's coming up for me. And so that's one type of silence. The other type of silence that we talked about was compassionate silence. So that's a little milder, brief moment of stillness, perhaps in a difficult conversation. And sometimes in that space, we can create connection and understanding. And the next level or type of silence was golden silence. And that's the type that's free from distractions. Sometimes we think of it as being in the flow or being at one with the person we're connected with. And it just seems very natural. So, again, there are countless types of silence. Those are the three that we focused on. But I want to pause here before we move on and ask what comes up for you when you think of either one of these three types of silence or any other type of silence.
I can jump in.
Yes.
Okay, looking at this types of silence in myself, how I work with them, I I am looking that I am more in the compassionate silence and use the compassionate silence uh, not only with others but with myself all the time because it's something that I build up through my life with in coaching and mentoring and supervision, right? The golden silence, it's more for me, it's more when I meditate, right?
Mm.
But I don't think I use it too much with others. And I am curious about this golden one. And the awkward, it's yes, when I have challenges with myself or others, not with myself, but with others. Let's say my children or my husband, right?
Yes. Yes.
It was sometimes very awkward to 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 be in silence, right?
Mm.
So this is my sharing.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sven, I see you. Svea, I'm sorry. I have progressive, so I have to look up to see small print. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Yes, no,
Good.
I'm in the evening because I'm in Cape Town in South Africa.
Okay,
Um,
good evening.
as as I was listening now, I immediately thought about the between and not like Teresa the inside. And I thought if I think about these three silences when
Mm.
they happen between myself and a supervisee or between myself and a supervisor,
Yeah.
for me, the creativity and the ambiguity and the presence is around what I may be experiencing as a so-called compassionate silence, may be an awkward silence for the other person, or vice
Mhm.
versa. So I began to really enjoy the idea of how are we co-creating meaning around silences when in the presence of another,
Mhm.
as opposed to we each sitting in our own little bubbles or in a group supervision, even more intriguingly. So thank you. Yeah, so thank you for this because it immediately made me think what may be real for me may be something completely different for the people with whom I am in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And that has me think about, and Naomi, I see you, how we make meaning in the silence. Like what's going on, and maybe we go outside of ourselves and think of the other person, and should we say, should we not say what's coming up for us? So yeah, thank you so much. Naomi.
I have two comments. Thank you for this.
Sure.
That the three are not necessarily linear, as in it happens once and then it's over. But
Yeah.
it's an ongoing, you never know where you are unless you're paying attention. And the other is that if the awkwardness prevails, the others don't happen. And it doesn't matter whether the awkwardness is coming from me as a supervisor or as the one being supervised. Reflection doesn't happen unless we calm down our reptilian brain, the I'm in
Mm,
danger, the sky is falling kind of thing.
mhm,
And I find like mediation, which is also something I do besides coaching and supervision, depends on my sensitivity to what's actually not being said.
mm,
Because if I'm not doing that work, I'm not really present.
true. Yeah, thank you. It shows up in many different places for many reasons. And Jean-Olivier, I see you. And I love what you said about if the awkwardness or the anxiety persists, then that's almost like the elephant in the room, if you will, and nothing else can come in. Yeah. Jean-Olivier, good afternoon, if you're where
Yes.
I think you are.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I'm like Sphere in the afternoon, late afternoon as well. I have been
Yeah.
inspired at what Sphere said when she talked about I don't remember exactly the word she used, but I'm going to use the word sense making for me.
Mm,
Because for me, silence is a co-created space. It's not coming only from one side, it's co-created. And it's a place that help supervisor and supervisee metabolize the experience. What
mm,
might not being said yet, but can emerge after. And it can also be, let's see, the relational calibration, you meet and then you just calibrating what is in the space before starting the session itself. It can also be permission. Somebody spoke about it before, about just trying to find where to start the the coaching itself because it's not always obvious,
mm.
So you judging a little bit to see where you start it with. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I can
Yeah.
add.
Thank you. And it can all it can also happen in the midst of, things are going along, maybe well, if you want to call it that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what was that?
And that's
Beautiful.
why I'm talking about judging, you just
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Linda Hendrickson. I do believe it's morning for you. Good
It
morning.
is morning for me, Reggie. So good to see you. Thank you for
Likewise.
this
Thank you.
really rich and insightful conversation. I quite honestly, when you were talking about these different types and things, I mean, I agree with what others have said about uh, how this is co-created and it works both ways. And at the
Mm,
same time, I think as a supervisor, I think that it's perhaps my responsibility to initiate the co-creation of the silence
yeah.
by holding some space. And what I hadn't occurred to me until this was going on, this conversation was that for some people, silence has been a weapon that has been used against them.
Mm,
And so I wonder if that might be happening at times that by being silent, that there is this sense of fear, as you put, or guilt.
yeah.
Um, lack of in my home growing up, if parents didn't talk to you, that was because you were in trouble. You had done something wrong.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's silent treatment, the expression, you're getting this silent
Hmm.
treatment because you've done something wrong. I had not ever thought about this in terms of how this might be impacting a supervisee. So thank you. This is great.
Yeah. Alina, is it?
Yes. Hi, hello
Hello.
from
Hi.
the Netherlands.
All right.
Uh, Thank you so much. Also, I'm building on what Linda was saying. Um, so silence, yeah, we looked at the co-creation between the supervisor and supervisee, but there's something very much about my own relationship with silence, your own relationship with silence, and then the silence, because there are the inner conversations, right? So we know. So it is
Yes.
exactly. And then it's like when I'm with you and one eye turns within, is there silence there?
Mm.
And then there's two levels because obviously you have the communication, it is verbal and non-verbal, right?
Mhm.
So absence of words, fine. But what's happening in my body? Is my body silent? Can I feel
Mm.
silent? Do you feel silent? So
Yeah.
beyond what is being expressed, there's levels, I would say, of silence. Plus, there is an element of, as Linda was saying, it is the past experiences, but there's also the cultural, can be a cultural dimension with
Mhm.
silence. I have picked up, for instance, on it with certain cultures, and the use of silence, the relationship, the expectations relating silence. So I think and I haven't seen only the awkward, the compassionate, the golden, but there can be a peaceful one, if you
Mhm.
can, one
Yeah.
one that is like, if you manage to be in silence in your body and everything, which is
Mm.
that thing about being present with another, where the other one doesn't actually need you for something content-wise. It's
Mhm.
more really you're there. And we know that sometimes you just need to be in the presence of another to be able to articulate certain things that you
Yeah.
cannot um, otherwise. It's like an acknowledgement, a realization. So, a side of awkward and compassionate, which is for difficult conversation, there can be a peaceful one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, thank
Yeah.
you. But thank you for this opportunity to reflect.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that. That was beautiful. You know, we could talk about just the types of silence for the remainder. I do want to move on. However, Linda, I think threw a pebble in the pond on the other side when talking about our relationship to silence. Like, what does silence mean to us in general, and what does silence mean to us at different moments in time? So I am familiar with the silent treatment. I'm also familiar with, silence is golden from the standpoint of no one's talking to me right now. So I'm feeling quite at peace with myself. But then there's also the somatic instance where silence is concerned because, I'm noticing I'm gritting my teeth or I'm clenching my fist or my palms are sweaty and then what is that? So there's so many things that can happen in the silence, even though words aren't being spoken, yet they are being spoken. So, Svea, yes,
May I come back to your word nerd? I re
please.
I realize that we've been speaking about silence as a noun, but
Mm.
silence as a verb is to silence. It's to suppress, to oppress, to prohibit. So thank you for this. When you said the word nerd, something went ting-a-ling, and I thought, depending on whether people see it as a being and doing thing versus a
Yes,
state of, it has
yes,
quite
yes,
different connotations in your dictionary. So thank you for that complexity.
absolutely. Which takes us to, and we've talked about this already, what can be created in the silence? And here's another question. Are there different types of silence in coaching or supervision? We've already talked about that. And then it was, if so, what are they? Again, this is the recap from what we talked about the last time, but certainly I wanted to go over this just to kind of prime the conversation and get us thinking about uh, the remainder of our time together. See, okay, all right, I saw a chat, but that was that was the message I had sent to Damian, so that's no longer relevant. I want to make sure I'm catching everything from everyone. Okay, people just saying good afternoon and whatnot. All right, so um, if you are familiar with the seven conversations model, Um, David Clutterbuck is, I'll say, somewhat responsible. Um, it's found in coaching and mentoring supervision. In those seven, there are two that I wanted us to highlight. Um, these slides will be available if you care to, because that gives you all of the information as far as references. But one of the seven conversations is the coach's internal unspoken reflections during the dialogue. The other is the client's internal unspoken reflections during the dialogue. So I chose these two clearly because they speak to unspoken reflections, i.e., silence. But what I found very interesting uh, in the third of seven conversations is his take on inner directed. So how am I helping? I'll put all the questions up. Um, what is the quality of my listening? What am I observing or hearing? What am I missing? This goes to what's not being said. Is my intuition, sorry, turned on? And finally, what assumptions am I making? How might these be acting as a filter on my listening and my understanding? And in fairness, I studied this last year, and of course, looking through this again in preparation for this conversation, I don't have a favorite one of these questions, but just to leave this here for all of us to reflect on for a moment, and then whatever surfaces, by all means, share that with us.
I think what draws my attention is the question, is my intuition turned on?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is an entire reflection about what do I understand to intuition? Of course, there can be a mental thing, but it's interesting about this word intuition, because I can think of at least two meanings, coming from different direction. So what do I understand through intuition? What's the value of turning it on? How it's helpful or not?
Yeah.
How is contributing to my inner conversations, right? So that's what drew my attention.
Yeah. Thank you. And if my intuition is turned on, is it correct? Or what does it mean? So yes, just an avalanche of questions from that question.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. What am I tapping in with my intuition?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Reggie, I wonder if you want to go to small groups because I think some people are a little bit shy to share with everyone, but I'm looking at people's faces here, so and I know many people have a lot to say about these questions.
Sure. Please. Let's 12 minutes, 15 minutes.
Should we do, will you tell me 12 minutes for this or the,
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
okay. So what is the task when people go to small groups?
Yes. So of these, I'll say four bullets focused on the inner directed. How am I helping? What stands out for you? What emerges? Uh, what are your thoughts? And then we can come back together and discuss that. And I would venture to say we could spend quite a bit of time here.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of the questions so we can put it in the chat box.
Thank you.
Okay, I cannot do it. I am with Lily's system, so it's not letting me to post
Okay.
the picture. So if people can take a picture, if you know how to do that, so you can have the questions when you go to small rooms, and let's be back in, let's do 15 minutes. I don't know, Rich, if you want to join one of the groups or you want to come back. Welcome back, everybody.
And we are back. I'm going to make a guess, and I guess you all had rich conversations. So whoever gives two thumbs up and fireworks. All right. So whoever would care to share about all the fireworks and connection that took place in your breakout, by all means, please. Well, Kim, what fireworks went on in your group?
I was just going to, at
Okay,
risk of
Richard.
breaking the silence, I was just going to jump in because that was a nice, actually, no, a slightly awkward bit of silence there, at least for me. I had a wonderful uh, share conversation with Christy, and part of what we were exploring is creating the conditions for silence, and how perhaps an expectation that we might be able to create, hold, land in a sort of a deep golden silence right early on in a supervision session, for example, is not realistic, and perhaps it may take um, a few silences and gently bringing awareness to the quality and nature of our silence to help the silence move from something that's awkward to something that's more golden.
Thank you.
I appreciated Michelle's notion of several things, but the active and the passive silence. I don't know, Michelle, if you want to highlight that for the group, but I thought that was an insightful observation.
Yeah, what I said was that on the slide there are a lot of activities, mental activities, and when I create a silence or when the supervisee creates a silence, in fact, I just do nothing. When I say do nothing is not even think. I don't want to pollute my expectation. It's if I think, if I feel, so I put myself in a position of just quietly waiting because silence is like a void. And of course, a void it creates a vertigo and something deep will emerge. No need to think, feel, activate intuition, blah, 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 blah. But just relax and take that opportunity for re, re, reactivate the system. And I said that it's coming from David. I know very well David for 2 decades. And David is a hyperactive person, and I'm not surprised he put on that list of things to do during the silence.
Thank you. Who else?
Hmm.
Well, we did. I had a wonderful, rich conversation with Reggie and Beth and Cecilia, and it didn't occur to me then, but it just occurred to me in this moment from all of that we discussed. I wonder if our relationship with silence would be something really rich to discuss with supervisees in the initial contracting. Because I think I go in with the assumption that silence is a good thing, and yet we've uncovered here a lot of reasons why it might not be, why it might lead to other things. So just a thought.
I love that idea, Linda. I love it very much because what silence means for me is not what it means for you. So to have it is, talked about at the very beginning can help, definitely. I love that. Thank you.
Yes.
John Elvire, we mentioned it in our conversation, talking about silence and how we
Yeah,
let the silence come in our conversation, how we embody the silence, how we let it in, and how it's a path
yeah.
with coaches or supervisees. We need to learn to let the silence in our conversation.
Absolutely, Michelle. And I can add something I talked about in our breakout room that um, most of the time we think of ourselves as an entity, but what is a part of me that is in the silence? What part of me want to get involved in that silence? So it becomes really complex when we start talking about that because it might not be me as an entity, but a part of me that just rush and want to just to interact in that silence. So it needs co-creation.
That brings to mind for me the echo of Damian in my brain about contracting. And so, to your point, Linda, um, making that or including that in our contracting, which of course is continuous. Thank you very much, Damian. Is something that we would benefit from revisiting. With all the different definitions or meanings or occurrences of and in silence, and what emerges for us in those moments.
Reggie, I don't want to put Beth on the spot, but I thought what she said in our group was absolutely golden. Beth, would you mind telling the group what you told us about silence?
Which part?
You said as an introvert and
Oh,
often,
okay. Thank you for that, Ping. All I said was that when Reggie was covering the three different kinds of silence at the beginning of the session, my irreverent self said, "There's such a thing as an awkward silence." Uh, and of course there is, as I reflected on it, but it was just one of those moments as an introvert where I was like, "Wow, all silence is good silence." Um, anyway, thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
I'd like to link silence, contracting, and reflection, and to not
Please.
make the assumption that everyone generates reflections in silence. It's an assumption. And I think it's part of what we also could really do ourselves and our supervisees a favor by having a conversation about what are the conducive conditions for reflection for them. And what are the expectations of us as supervisors? Because I've been in many supervision situations over the years where people assume when silence is hanging, everyone's reflecting, and they ain't reflecting. They're doing all kinds of other things.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you, Svea. I had shared with our group, I'm a very visual person. And for me, sometimes reflection can be a combination of, because I'll see something, once it develops, I'll share that or not. So it is constant. Thank you for that added nuance. Okay, so what I would like to do, if it's all right with everyone, is to we have the inner directed, and this is back to 7 conversations model of supervision. There's also the outer directed, raises awareness of issues, as in we are speaking to. So what is the client or supervisee not saying? What is the quality of the client's thinking? How am I feeling in the moment? And if I feel uncomfortable, what is making me so uncomfortable? Sorry. So very much like the breakout we had, if we are comfortable enough speaking to the outer directed as a group, by all means. And again, in the context of nuance, in these 3 questions, I'm sure quite a bit emerges for each of us.
So, Reggie, I want to bring to your attention that we have 2 minutes to wrap up.
Oh, this is just an hour. Sorry. I should have checked that with you. Okay, so man, maybe this should be a part 3.
Maybe, why not?
Here's what I would like to do as a wrap up. So please pardon the vertigo, if you will. Here, there are many types of silence. And because of the musician in me, before the note, the end of the note, and silence in the middle. And so I would leave you with that. Damian, thank you so much, and everyone else for this conversation. Yeah, this definitely needs to be a part 3, because there's a little bit more I would love for us to discuss. But I'll turn it back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reggie. I really appreciate that. Yes, our sessions are always 1 hour, and many times we feel we need more. But the commitment is once a month. It's always the 3rd Monday of the month. It's always the same day of the week, the same time, 8 a.m. for 1 hour. Before you go, I want to make a couple of announcements. I am putting in the chat box our newsletter. I know most of you receive the newsletter, but in the newsletter, you have information about all of our activities. We have next month a session on creativity, and I think it's going to be fun. And then also we have a book club at the end of the month. I don't know if Genevieve, you want to talk briefly about it?
Yes, everyone here knows, I think, that there is a book club every month. And this month it will be about Damian books. And the newsletter is, you have just received the newsletter. You have the flyer in it. And also, there will be on LinkedIn a post, very soon. And then you have everything. You will have everything. Even on the flyer, you will see everything already. So we're looking forward to seeing you. Yeah.
Thank you, Genevieve, for that space. And there is also one space for team coaching. So if anybody is working in team coaching supervision, Tracy and Larissa are organizing a session on Thursday with Peter Hawkins. And the information is also in the newsletter. And Reggie, again, thank you very much for a great session, a great space for reflection for all of us, and for continuing the reflection on silence. Thanks everybody for attending, participating, and we hope you can come next month. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good month. Take care.
Ciao.